Hello, good to see you. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. It's 5:32. Okay. Here is the agenda for tonight. So Ashlyn will take roll call as we go. You guys should have all received the minutes in your email. I know it's been a minute. Hopefully you had time to review them over your lengthy spring break. Glad to see you all back. Holly, I love your hair. Looks fantastic. Okay, so did anyone have questions or comments on the minutes from our meeting on March 1st? Well, I guess we didn't meet on March 1st, so before that. All right. Then in that case, I entertain a motion to vote to approve our last meeting's minutes. Okay, motion by Senator Vargas and seconded by Senator Govea. All in favor, raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any abstentions. Okay, fantastic. Moving on to open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? All right. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to speaker's podium. This evening, you guys may be familiar with our guest speaker. His name is Joshua Neves. He's the Assistant Vice President for Student Success and Director of Student Engagement. And he's here to talk to us this evening about a variety of things.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Making sure there's all right. All right. So I am speaking not as your advisor. And so as Casey introduced me, I am one of the assistant vice presidents for student success and director of student engagement. I wanted to talk about two different things. And so the first one's homecoming. And so I'm going to pull up real quick. How many, by a quick show of hands? Yes, if you'll, as we'll show the screen. While she pulls that up, by a quick show of hands, how many of y'all know when homecoming is? Okay, no, go to the uttower.edu/homecoming. Okay, that's a good, good. When is homecoming? Next week. Yes, that's right. And so I wanted to take the time to kind of go over the schedule really quick with student government to see if there's any questions or concerns. The reason why I want to cover this is because we have not had homecoming since 2019. It's a long time. And so we're really excited to have homecoming back. And in order for it to be successful, we need students to show up. And so I'm going to quickly go through and kind of highlight some. I'm not going to read every event because I know y'all can read. But I kind of want to point out some big key events that I hope that students will show up to. And I hope that you all will show up and bring your friends. So on Monday, next Monday, we will kick it off. And so the two big events for Monday are the homecoming barbecue. And so we'll be set up down by Harvey Deck, weather permitting. And we'll be passing out barbecue. It is going to be Stanley's because that's usually a crowd favorite. Later that afternoon, there is going to be a faculty staff kickball and field game tournament. So this is kind of a fun way to get the faculty and staff involved. The winner of the kickball tournament will play the student champion. The team that wins the student tournament that's going on this week, they will play the winner of the faculty staff. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. We will have some free snow cones at that event. On next Tuesday, the one event I'm going to highlight is going to be the dessert food trucks. And so to support we've got a double header for softball. Last week when I looked, our softball team has won every game except for one game. They are top ranked. It's awesome. And so to help support them and to go cheer them on, we're going to do a dessert food truck in the ballpark between the two games. And so we'll have 3 different food truck options, strictly dessert. So Pokios, Konas, and the newest vendor, Frios Cake Pops. So they will be first come, first serve on that. Wednesday, obviously, I better highlight the midnight breakfast because that is one of the largest events at UT Tyler that's hosted by you. And so we're really excited about some of the things that y'all have come up with to make midnight breakfast even bigger and better. And we're anticipating a lot of students, but also faculty and staff may be showing up to that event as well. Thursday, we'll move on to Thursday. The late that night headphone disco will be outdoors. That is a great event. It'll be at Patriot Plaza. And so I do want to encourage everyone to please come show up for that event. And right now the weather's looking fantastic. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's always awkward to see a bunch of people dancing and no music. But it's a lot of fun. Friday, as you can see, things really start picking up for the community and for things that are going on for everybody, especially for our alumni. I'm going to mention two big events. The first one is the alumni barbecue and the food truck rally. They're kind of one. And so we've got two different times. And so from 5:30 to 7:30, we really want our alumni and families to get barbecue. And then from 7:30 to 9, the students, faculty, and staff will have a food truck rally. We've got 6 to 7 food trucks lined out. So there will be plenty of options to choose from. I think 3 food and 3 dessert. And so we're going to give students 2 tickets, 1 for food and 1 for dessert. And depending how many show up, we may give out additional tickets. After that event, we will have the UT Tyler fireworks show. And as you can see on the schedule, the location is correct. Line. On Saturday, the one event, there's a lot going on Saturday, but I'm going to highlight the crawfish boil. And so we are bringing back the crawfish boil. It is open to the community. So if for those who were here in 2019 and before, you need to show up early to get in line because lines will start forming pretty early for that event. As soon as we open it up, we'll serve as fast as we can. And so we will go from 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. or until we run out of crawfish. And so I don't think we'll run out of crawfish, but this event's been hyped up. So there could be a lot of people show up for that. I got some feedback. I don't know from student government or from other students. Last year when we did do the crawfish boil, we didn't have enough seats. I promise this time we should have plenty of seats. And so we're going from, I think, 125 seats to 750 seats. And so we should have plenty of opportunity to sit down. And of course, we're doing the crawfish boil right up into when the baseball games start. And so we've got a doubleheader baseball game. We want to make sure to go out and support our baseball team since we're also supporting our softball teams as well. And then they have another game on Sunday as well. So this is a full list of events. It's a lot. And so it's changing all the time because I'm constantly being contacted and being asked to add events that are open to the community. And as long as it's open to the community or open to students, we will add it to the homecoming schedule. So this is a great way to have some fun, to celebrate us as an institution. Think of this as UT Tyler's birthday. That's the best way I can describe it. And so we hope that, I did get a question earlier this week, hot air balloon. Yes, the hot air balloon will be back. It will be on Friday at the barbecue event. So I can't promise that we'll be doing rides up and down because it all depends on the weather. And so if there's a lot of wind that day, we will see what we can do with the hot air balloon. But if it's calm and if it's nice, then we may do some takeoffs and landings with the hot air balloon. Yep. Once you see the hot air balloon inflated, you'll know where it is pretty quick. It's a big one. All right. Are there any questions about homecoming? Yes. Yes, you can start posting anytime. Yes. Okay. So the UC celebration is one of our traditions here at UT Tyler, where the UC celebrates being a kind of a student union, a student center. And so on that day, I think it's at lunchtime, they will have novelties on both floors. They'll have free food everywhere. It's a lot of activities. It's like an indoor, I don't want to call it a theme park, but it's a lot. It's like a big birthday party just for the UC. And so that is a huge event. It is only for students. So that definitely take advantage to go check that out. Any other questions about homecoming? The student engagement team knows this. T-shirts. And some of student government got to look at it a couple of weeks ago. We are passing out homecoming shirts at various events. We have 2 shirts, an orange and a blue, and they will be first come, first serve with Crawfish. Any remaining shirts that we have left will be at Crawfish. And then once we're out of shirts. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. The second topic I wanted to talk to y'all about is student organizations. And so we, for those who are fairly new to student government, in spring 2019, Patriots Engage launched. And that was our student engagement platform that was designed to make it a one-stop shop for all of the engagement activities on campus. Prior to spring 19, we didn't have that. We didn't have anything. The only way you found out how things were going on campus is you checked the bulletin board, you checked your email, and then even when it came to student organizations, you had to register old school way, sometimes paper forms or Qualtrics. It was very not efficient is the best way I can put it. So spring 19 came, we got the platform, and it has changed a lot of things. All right. So student organizations are one of the best ways for students to get involved. You're here today because you are in student government. The student government is a student organization. Yes, we do cool events, or we try to do cool events, but sometimes some of the best experiences are in a student group. And many of you are on multiple student groups. And we always encourage students to get involved in at least 2 groups, one academic and one non-academic. So as we started thinking as we return to normal, how do we help support our student organizations more? Some of the common things that I get from student organizations are, we want UT Tyler to be in the name. We want to be able to get support from advancement so we can go out and fundraise at a higher level. Our logos, we want the UT Tyler logo to be a part of our student org. And right now the answer is no, you can't do that because student organizations are independent. And so one of the things that we're exploring and that we are preparing to roll out fall of 22 as a new category. Right now, there's only one category, registered student org. That's it. You got a type, you got multiple types, academic, multicultural, service, political, Greek. And I'm forgetting several others, but there's a lot of types, but as far as category, we only have one, and that's registered. So we're looking at rolling out a new category called sponsor. A sponsor tag will allow student organizations to seek a sponsorship from the university, meaning that a department or college can sponsor a student organization. And by doing so, you trade off some of that freedom for more support. And so my question to the student government is, I kind of want to hear from you, what are some of the challenges and issues that you have with the student organization process or just being part of a student organization? Because based on your feedback, we will see how we can incorporate that into the new category. and providing more support to our student groups. Well, I think that depends on the sponsorship, right? Because when a college or department sponsors a student organization, they may come with certain expectations and restrictions. And so I'm going to make one up. Let's say the hot tub club. Yeah, that actually used to be a registered student group many years ago. So let's say student engagement is going to sponsor the hot tub club, but in order for me to sponsor your club, all of your financials have to be deposited into a university account instead of an off-campus bank account. And therefore the university will control all those assets. That's an example. May not be we're going to let the freedom, we're going to allow the sponsorship, the department that's going to sponsor the student group and the student organization to come up with those terms to figure out what the trade-off is. Because there's a benefit for being independent. You're allowed to go out and fundraise on your own. You're allowed to have your money off campus and use your money as you see fit. You're able to use any vendor out there where when it's on campus, you have to go through our official process and that could take some time. And so it kind of depends. And so the biggest thing that we're trying to help provide support on is kind of more of a financial pathway and a long-term recognition. We think that some of the names, some student groups are kind of by default getting some support, but we're trying to make it more clear on what that support looks like and provide another pathway for another group to be able to get to that status. Yeah, tell me about is there any problems with the process or is there anything that you would like to see? How can the university better support student works?
I don't know how to, I know Leslie. Do you know the people that just started the UT Tyler, like dental?
So we had a pre-dental student organization many years ago, and then that evolved into the pre-health academy.
Mhm.
And then now I think pre-dental is wanting to come back.
They did, yeah, because everybody's focused on the pre-med route and they wanted their own pre-dental. But she said the process to get in was super long and it took forever to get everything approved and stuff like that. So that's, I guess,
Just wanted to ask, is there like specific like requirements or like qualifications to determine if they can be a sponsored like organization or what?
So back to your question, it is we settled on a student organization that's been here for 6 long semesters, so for 3 years, that has not lost registration, that's registered every semester, and in good conduct standing. At that point, they would be eligible for a sponsorship. They can go seek a sponsorship from a department. Now, there might be some limitations, all right? So political and religious. Those are 2 types of student organizations that we might not be able to sponsor, but there might be a way to provide support on a different way.
Engage should be an app. I was like, this whole weekend during NOTA, I was like, one thing I would like to see is Patriots Engage being an app. I just think it'd be a lot easier if students had it just ready and easily accessible on their phones. They wouldn't have to like log in all the time, you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a secret. There is an app. If you want to do it right now, you can, and you're gonna figure out why we're not promoting it. You go to the App Store, type in Cork, C-O-R-Q. C-O-R-Q. It's a kind of a nod to Luis says that's good feedback. So we decide. So there is an election feature in Engage. We did not, but that's more for student government elections. And so I can touch base with our vendor to see if that they do something internal for student organizations. Part of the re-registration process is to gather that new officer information. And so that when the student organization is approved, it automatically makes those changes. And so one of the things that we did to help with Luis's comments about the transition is we cleared out every roster in December, because what we were finding is student organizations were re-registering, but not updating the roster. And so we wiped them all out and we started fresh. And so we went from 3,000 individuals down to more to 1,700, which is more accurate of our current students that are involved in the student board. But that's good feedback. Okay, so once you've got Cork, you'll select UT Tyler, you'll log in, and that's what the app looks like. And so it's very word heavy. It's not very visually appealing. It's very hard to navigate in some cases. I'm seeing no, yes. Okay, so for those who downloaded it, raise your hands if you like it. For those who downloaded it and don't like it, raise your hand. About 50-50. Yeah. Okay, so the reason why we haven't promote the app is because if you go, a lot of students go to their web browser. If you're an Apple user, Safari or Google Chrome, and when they use Engage on the web browser, it adjusts to your phone automatically. And what you see on a desktop laptop is what you see on your phone. And so students are able to navigate the experience very similar. It is also web accessible on both devices. And so thinking about those who might need screen readers or readers that read out loud, Engage does that on either device. And so that's why we haven't promoted the app. It's just because it's just static. It's just information. You're not able to register student groups. I think you can RSVP and it's saved to your calendar, but it's very limited. And so we have expressed a desire to have a custom UT Tyler app. And so that is on our wish list.
Students really like free, you guys always give out free shirts or stuff
Yep.
like that. And so a lot of the times they don't want to put in dues and stuff. So I don't know if that's that's more on the student thing, but that's a problem that some things happen. And then another one is we don't have any quotas for any like service hours or anything, right? I think that's something that we should do all across the board, but I know it is like harder for those certain organizations.
So I would love to make that a requirement. However, as being an independent student organization, we cannot tell a student organization what to do unless they're violating federal, state, or local laws, of course. But something of saying, hey, we need you to charge dues or do service hours, we can't require that. And so we leave that up to the student organization and leadership. When it comes to money, I'm going to go back to your first comment. When it comes to money, and this is the same advice we give to our Greek organizations, break down what the money's going to. If a student can see what their dues are going towards, then they're going to be more likely to do it or say, can I do a payment plan or can I pay as I go and utilize these services? Because that is often, you have to have some sort of money coming in order to do activities. That is why the Greeks charge the way they do, because the Greeks do a lot of activities. And so that is what their dues are going towards, is all those activities. SGAC, which is part of your group, the money that they provide to student organization is not to offset entirely the student organization. It is to help collaborate and co-sponsor together an event that wasn't budgeted. And so some student groups maybe, I don't want to say work in the system, but they are taking advantage of the opportunity. In reality, we need to do a better job of trying to, okay, how can we get them to a place where they're charging $5 for a due or for dues, maybe monthly dues or for semesters, and that $5 could be then used for maybe a meeting, a lunch meeting or something. As service hours, when a student is listed on a roster, on your roster, they're able to automatically log service hours under that student organization. And so if the leadership voted on saying, hey, we're going to do 10 hours a semester, then that's up to the student org. And a student org can contact our office at any time to request a report. And so they can see where they are service hours wise. Yes. Yes. So depending on the rosters, you get to select. You want to say, I did 5 hours, but I want it to go to these 3 groups. Is it right? It does overlap. Yeah. That's a good question. I'll ask. Right now, based on my experience, the answer is no. You had to pick one or another because the report, if you logged it in multiple sections, when we run those reports, it would duplicate your hours. And we don't want to say a student did 50 hours when in reality they did 10. Yeah, that's a good feature. Say, was this for multiple groups? Yeah. The nice thing about our video.
My question is how the departmental funding for sponsored student orgs would be potentially limited or work with SGAC funding.
Oh, that's a good
Because
question.
since we're student fee funded, it
Yeah.
gets tricky.
It does get tricky because y'all do have a policy in SGAC that says that if a student group has additional funding from the university, they can't request SGAC because then that's double dipping. The student group's getting 2 sources of money when other groups don't have that same luxury. Not a sponsorship doesn't always mean that you're going to get money either. It could be, we're going to sponsor you and we're going to help provide support in the form of space, marketing, maybe an advisor, a more dedicated advisor. It means a lot of different things. It doesn't always translate to that. We're going to set aside money for different things. They may be willing to pay for certain items, but not do a full funding. And so that's why we didn't want to create a, here are the set, this is what a sponsorship means as far as here are all the benefits, because we know every department, every college doesn't have those resources.
So my question is more geared towards the departmental side to it. So you had stated earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you would want a student organization to operate independently for a specific period of time that's not yet determined on that period.
6
of time.
long semesters, I think.
Okay. And then before the departmental can go to sponsor them.
Yeah.
What if a department could, or a department approach student engagement and say, we would like to sponsor this before that time? So say like history club comes up and they say, this is a good example because we're actually, Soren and I are dealing with this right now, where the department chair for history comes and says, we want to help y'all provide like food for y'all's meetings and stuff like that. That's a little bit different than the sponsorship, but could a department approach a student organization that's not been there for the 6 semesters?
Yeah, we would review that on a case by case basis. The reason why we put in that, that time period is we want to make sure that there is it gives something a student organization to strive for. And then it also makes sure that they're not wanting done. Right. So if we're going to sponsor and invest resources into a student group and then they fizzle out next semester, we've wasted students' monies. Where if they've been here for at least 3 years, okay, they have a history coming back, they're active, they're established, they got a good system in place. It allows for a sponsorship to come in and expand it rather than to take that chance and then not come. Now, if a department comes and say, hey, we're fully funding a student, or they're going to be departmental, like student government, then that's where I'm going to be, okay, you're fully funding it. It's a university you support. And then at that point, we probably would make an exception. But If it's not fully funded, we would have to have some serious conversations to make sure what is the department going to do to make sure that they are not one and done.
Awesome. Thank you.
There you go.
Anyone else?
So I will tell y'all, and I've said it before, there's one feature that we're still working on. And technology is sometimes very difficult. The one feature that we are hoping to roll out in the fall will be an Astra integration. So that means when you go to Engage and you put your event in Engage, you will do the room reservation process at the exact same time. You won't have to put it in Engage, and then you won't have to turn around and put it in Astra, because that's twice. That's a lot of wasted time on y'all's end. We'll still have to use both systems, but for you, we're trying to make the experience as easy as possible for y'all, to that way you be one and done. And so we're working on it. It's very challenging because it's two different companies trying to make the tech communicate with one another. So we've gone through several test runs, and we gotten very close, but then we break it every time we can do something simple, but then when we start doing complex requests, the student groups will do some good things, or complex requests, it will break the system. So we're trying to make it to where it doesn't break the system. So that's on the horizon. So I do want to share that with you. All right. If there's no other questions, let me know. I do appreciate the feedback. Yes, sir. Yes. So user-friendly, yes, on the student side. That's the integration that we're working on. On the staff side, so that's why on the staff end, we'll probably won't change it, because we have to see all that data. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Okay.
Stuff, but usually you have to go kind of third party, make your own picture if you want to lay out. Is there any like things with integrations that students could like put a layout that they would want to use on there then?
So that's a good question. So as part of the test that we've rolled out, when you're selecting a rooms that have the ability to change your setup, you will be able to select a different layout. So I'm thinking of like the UC ballroom. When you're requesting the ballroom, you are going to be able to see in your request, it's in the top right. I can picture it. It's a drop down. You get to select and engage how you want the space setup. Now, to your specific question, like specifics, that is not an integration that is being discussed or worked on. That's a very unique request. Yeah. Even for me, I mean, I did 4 layouts today for homecoming, and I used good old Microsoft Paint. And so I took a screenshot of Google Maps and then drew my stuff. And so very old school. All right. I do appreciate y'all. And when I saw the agenda, I said, I can't let them off the hook. I'm going to take the advantage of this and share some important things for y'all. If y'all do have specific feedback, I greatly, especially on the student orgs, I do want to know. We're doing our best to try to make it as efficient and as smooth as possible. I always brag about our process because we don't charge student groups to register, and it's year round, meaning we don't set deadlines when a group can register. Some of our sister schools, on the other hand, that's not the case. And so we're doing everything we can to stay compliant with the state laws while making it as smooth as possible for y'all. So if y'all do have feedback, you know where to find me.
Okay. moving on down the agenda to officer reports. Last week was spring break. Hope you guys all got some good rest. I drove over 3,000 miles in a week, so that was a lot of fun. V was along for the ride. Checked out a bunch of law schools. In that time, I also sat on a committee about commencement, which is really great that they're incorporating student voices into that. We have weekly meetings set up until graduation, so lots to plan. In addition to that, I also spent the week preparing for the press conference that happened yesterday. You guys may have seen about the Promise Plus. That's a huge opportunity for our university and the rest of UT system. So if you aren't familiar with it, definitely recommend looking into it. But I spoke at that and it was a great opportunity. And then this week, in addition to that, SAC COC is here. You guys may remember when Katie Stone came and talked to us about QP. Some of you in the room have been involved in that process. Well, the week is here. They're on site to visit, get a feel for our university, hear from students, faculty, staff about the QEP, as well as the other reaccreditation criteria. So that has everyone very busy, including myself. All right, so I will pass it off to Vice President Smith.
Been working on has been midnight breakfast. Before spring break, me and Casey met with Jamie Dowdy and Caitlin, and we discussed what we were going to be doing food wise for midnight breakfast. And I already spoke a little bit about this with events committee, but we're not going to do breakfast sandwiches, and instead we're going to double up the donut bar, and because that was a very popular option that we had at midnight breakfast. And then on top of that, like Casey was saying, I also attended the SAC COC QEP welcoming today. And then we're also doing stuff with that tomorrow. So today and tomorrow have been pretty busy with regarding that. But
Terry Matter.
For spring break, I went home and slept through everything, so I really don't remember what I did. The posts and everything like that, I've seen a lot of people also posting for themselves, so good luck to everybody that's running for all the positions. Everything on the website is completely updated, and I just have to put more posts on the website this week. So
Great. Chief of Staff.
So I had more of like a working spring break. The most vacation thing I did was go down to Sam Houston, see some friends. And so while I was there, I actually got to talk with a couple people who are familiar with the student government down there. And I learned some pretty interesting things about how they do stuff down there. And so I'll be looking at some of the ways that we could possibly incorporate some things they do down there with us here. And so today I was also a part of the QEP. I think is that
Student Advisory Committee.
okay? Yeah, the Student Advisory Committee. So we got to talk with the accreditors and everything, and they asked some questions. We got to ask them some questions. It was a really great and enlightening thing to have with them. So
Yeah, absolutely. Treasurer Limbrick is not here, so we'll move on to committee reports. If you don't have one because last week was spring break and you haven't met this week, that's fine. Just let us know. So events.
So we met before this. As Landry said, we're not doing the breakfast bar, we're doing more donuts. The pancakes are going to have colored whipped cream instead of colored pancakes. We're talking about different decorations, trying to make them more long-term decorations instead of just things that we get rid of on the night. So we're going to send some stuff in this week, plus what we've already ordered. The photo booth, it's going to be like a black sheet with neon SGA writing and then neon white splatters to kind of mix with the midnight neon theme that we're going for. So that's about it.
Love it. Communications. Okay, then. Yeah, you're good. SGAC, is anybody? Okay.
Yeah, that'll be me. So prior to spring break, we had one organization request $500, but they were readjusted down to $125 for immediate meetings, and that's pretty much it.
Do you know what organization it was?
It was AISC.
Thank you. Rules?
So Rules Committee met yesterday. We had a few things that we discussed, pretty much going over the presentations that we'll see later this evening, and discussed a few possible other options that we're going to look at and investigate a little bit further for the rest of the semester.
Awesome. Have y'all met ESE? Here, hold on.
Sorry, we're planning a clothing event for Earth Day, which is April 22nd. So we're kind of getting that into the works, and yeah, we're meeting on Thursday. So
Great. Thank you. Student voice reports. We have College of Engineering and the Houston Engineering Campus. So yes, pass it back to JJ. We'll let JJ go, and then those of you on Zoom, except for Kina, yeah, we'll just go down the line after that.
Back when I had my meeting with the dean, which was back on like February 4th, everything went pretty good. We just discussed like advising and stuff, and how I think they do a good job. And what else? Midterms coming up. College is pretty busy, and then Mr. Stark and his like those career fairs that he does is pretty good. So the Tyler one and the Houston one went very well. The one I attended in Tyler was pretty good. So yeah, that's
Great.
pretty much what's been going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and then first up on my screen is Adalia. Adalia, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, at this time, there's actually nothing to report other than what was previously said from the other Houston senators. I actually just been in campus, and sometimes most of the time not in campus. So we haven't really hear anything that the students have, any issues or complaints right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Justin?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, yesterday we had our meeting with that SACS representative. It was myself and Lewis. As far as senators, that went pretty well. We were able to voice our opinions and what we thought about Houston campus and Tyler overall. As far as what happened before spring break, we did have the Houston Career Fair. That went well. I was able to talk to Stark and some students. This one was a little bit bigger than the fall one. So students did like that there were more companies that they were applying to. I did talk to a few students and they were getting interviews, which is great. And then what we have coming up is for ASCE, we actually have a professional branch symposium coming up. So we're kind of getting ready for that and kind of informing the students how they can prepare for that as far as that career fair as well.
Yeah, that's all great. I'm glad that you guys have gotten to work with Mark Stark and that the career fair went well, because I know that was something that you guys had expressed desire for. Next on my screen is Omar.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Justin said. So Houston, we have a steel bridge competition. We're getting ready. We have a fabrication done. So now it's just to practice, and hopefully we win first place for UT Tyler.
That's exciting. Are all of you guys on the team for that?
Yes, most of us are.
Awesome. And then lastly is Luis.
Thank you. So it's really just circling back to my comments about the organization webpage. I had a couple of students come up to me and voice their concern over how they want a more streamlined process for accessing the organizations online, accessing possible elections on a semesterly or even yearly basis. And, just to have more visibility for the organizations when it comes to each individual organization's calendar on the website. And that's pretty much it.
So in that regard, would your ideal be like when you click on the organization on Engage, you see that organization's calendar specifically? Is that kind of what you're envisioning?
Yeah. And for example, on the top right hand corner, if elections are being held, an alert pop up for that for that organization.
Mhm.
And the current president would put, oh, these positions are what we're looking for. Submit your candidacy or submit your votes.
Okay. Yeah.
That way it keeps everything a lot more professional, a lot more streamlined, and we don't have to resort to other services such as, for example, Google Forms to run elections. And it also detaches any current president, for example, from
Like tampering.
just looking bad for
Sure.
running for a position, and then they're the ones hosting the election as well.
Josh is coming back up. Just a second.
So I
Fantastic.
just had an idea. So we know that every student doesn't have access to Qualtrics. Qualtrics is our official survey software system we use to survey students. We use it to do elections of student government. But in Engage, every student organization has the ability to engage forms. So you can build your elections as an engaged form. And then when it comes time to do the election, you have everybody complete the form, and then it will automatically generate the results for you on the back end.
Correct. But what I'm saying is for that to be integrated into each individual organization's page on, the organization page.
Correct. So when you create the form, it will show up on your page.
Okay. Then we'll just have to try that again this coming semester.
Reach out to me and we can do a Zoom meeting, and I can walk you through how it looks and how to set it up.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Moving on to old business. Does anybody have anything to bring up? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss campus safety and accessibility walks. Okay. Motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Kleckler. So this is an initiative that I'm kind of spearheading, actually, something that I've talked to a few different people on campus about. Basically, the idea is that quarterly, we would kind of take a walk around campus with a variety of people, key stakeholders, to kind of just put eyes on all of our campus facilities and make sure that there aren't small things that we could be improving on our campus. I've included facilities, SAR, HR. There are more. It's a whole list. It's a list of people, but this is an idea that I'm kind of trying to pilot this semester before I graduate, and we're going to see how it goes. And if it ends up being really beneficial, where we're able to make sure that the ADA buttons work in all of our buildings and menstrual products are available where they should be, etc. If we're able to put eyes on these facilities and just ensure that there is some oversight, not that there isn't, you know what I mean? This is just an effort that I'm trying to pilot this semester, and hopefully it will continue, but I wanted to extend an offer that if any of you are interested in participating in this, helping me out with it, then by all means, I'd love to have that support. So that's what I have. Does anyone have questions about that? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Then I entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. All right. Motion and seconded. Moving on down, we have here the midnight breakfast game plan. I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss. All right, motion and seconded. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't need to talk. Okay, I will pass it off to our fantastic vice president to talk a little bit about what the plan is.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on this earlier, and we've talked a little bit about it in events today. But so what we're planning on doing as far as where we're going to be ending up situating y'all, like for food lines and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about that Thursday. It's probably going to be a lot like how it was last year in that regard, just because last year it went pretty well. So there's not really any need to fix something that's not broken. So we have more people actually, so we'll actually be able to have additional roles like somebody I can't Robert having like kind of people help direct people more this year, because I know that we had a problem with that last year with lines at the beginning. Like I said earlier, me and Casey met with Jamie, and he is very into improving the food lines and
Yes.
making that way more efficient for midnight breakfast, because we are expecting more people this semester, especially knowing that we did it last semester. We had such amazing turnout already.
Yeah.
So
We had 500 last semester, so they are planning food for 600 plus, which that alone, I don't know about y'all, but when I heard that, I was like, because that's a lot of people. So here's the deal. Thursday, we are going to make the list of the assignments, same as last semester. I know some of y'all have feelings about where you want to be or don't want to be. So if you will email me, not text, email me. If you have a specific location you want to be, like I know we've had requests like, I really like serving at the donut bar. I want to do that again. Totally fine. This semester, there will be some additional positions. We've had requests from the UC. They want to do Step a Critter. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, like Build-A-Bear basically.
Plush.
Step a Plush.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The other one works too.
They may need some assistance in facilitating that. Also, the biggest change between last semester and this semester is, like he said, we will have faculty and staff, including probably President Calhoun, because I mean, I don't know if y'all know, this is sort of an interesting, weird thing that we do. And so he really wants to be there. And with that being said, we do want to make sure that it's run really well. So there will be more facilitating happening. But with the additional food, we will need a lot of people serving still. So
yeah, one of the things we talked about in events today was, and we talked about this with Jamie, was putting the donut bar close to where the PZ is, like where Chick-fil-A is and stuff like that, because there's going to be, I think last year it was close to the bookstore, and that created a lot of traffic,
We're gonna
especially
figure
because
out-
there's going to be so many other tables.
we'll figure out the layout. We do have more organization tables happening this semester, which is great because I really want to encourage that. But that does kind of complicate the map of everything a little bit. Also, because the line dancing and everything ended up kind of being pretty popular, we are considering how to facilitate that in a better manner. So we may end up putting that in the PZ along with karaoke.
It's a good idea.
What do we think about that? Karaoke and line dancing in the PZ? Hand up if you would be ready to party. All right, great. So we'll look at that. Landry and I are going to work on figuring out how we can put everything in the space that we have and make it flow effectively. But definitely, like I said, before Thursday morning, if you have a specific request in where you want to be, or, and this is an important or, if you know for a fact that you cannot be there, we need to know ASAP. Okay.
Also, sorry. Just I asked this to events, but I extend it to the whole Senate. If you have like a decoration or something like that you have in mind, feel free to send it to me. Our theme is kind of neon, like midnight kind of themed. We're gonna get glow sticks too, or we have glow sticks, but we might get more. But I need to know. I need to have that pretty much by Thursday, probably.
The shirts are black with glow in the dark wording on them. So we're going for something new and different. Here, Val, raise your hand first, and then
Just to get, we just email you, right? If we want to get a table, like an org table, like for Zeta. And then what is okay, and then just goes to everyone, like, what do y'all think are good like table like things to do just for individual organizations? If the theme is neon, do we have to stay on that theme?
so just to give you guys an idea, y'all know we had that hasn't been taken yet, and people like that. Yeah, we have like We have trivia,
So
lots of games.
yeah, so like Delta Sig, for example, is doing like a poker table that's not no money, but then I know that the library is hosting a table that's like a Plinko style kind of game, and then there's another group that has like an adventure board game, and then there's quite a few others, but there's a lot of games involved, and then there's also just groups that are just giving out stuff too.
Yeah, I think it's fun to do things that are super interactive, or you can do stuff that's kind of specific to your organization. Delight, that's like a women's Bible study. They're doing one where it's like, is this a famous quote or a Bible verse? And if you guess right, you get candy or something.
It's if it's a Taylor Swift quote.
Oh,
or a
Taylor Swift
psalm.
quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of fun, so that's unique to their organization and, interactive. So stuff like that's great.
Will we be bringing back the pie in the face?
The question to end the ages. We really didn't get great participation in that. So if you guys have ideas for ways that we can encourage people to complete the survey, y'all saw me get pied in the face multiple times with scented shaving cream. So obviously I'm pretty much ready to do whatever it takes to get student feedback. So dunk tank. We talked about a dunk tank. Where would we put it?
Yeah.
It's dark. It'll be dark. We'll think about it.
Are you guys going to be taking attendance of those who are not UT Tyler students? Like,
Yes, we did last semester as well.
Please make sure that you submit an email by March 17th. Just a reminder.
If you want to do a table.
Yeah. And
March
if you're in
17th.
an org, March 17th is the deadline for submitting like the table and then what y'all are doing with the
Yeah,
table.
we want to have a few days because last semester we got emails of like, what time do we show up? Where do we go? Blah, blah, blah. So we want to have time to get all that together. Anybody else have questions about midnight breakfast? So the directives as of now. 1, email me if you can't make it or if you have a specific request by Thursday. 2, if you have a student org that wants to do a table, sign up by Thursday by emailing sga@uttyler.edu. 3, start checking coffee now. Good. What's up, Bev? You cannot run the table. That's a good question. If you are in this room right now, you will be working the event. So have another member of your org do it. Yeah. Did you have a question? Is there going to be gluten-free options? That's a really good question. So in addition to having pancakes, we will also have bacon and eggs and potatoes. So there won't be gluten-free pancakes, but there are other things that you could eat. No, the pancakes are going to be pretty basic, but we will have fun UT Tyler colored toppings like sprinkles and whipped cream. So good question. We will have walkie-talkies. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, then I entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. Motion and second. Nope. Okay. Does anybody have anything to add to new business? Okay. Josh motioned to discuss nominations for Miss UT Tyler and Adon seconded.
So as you guys may have seen, it came out in an email that nominations for Mrs. and Mr. UT Tyler are now open. In the past, if you hadn't been here, the way SGA goes about nominating, and most organizations, I think, nominate it, The way SGA has nominated people in the past is we just put up nominations as if you were nominating anyone for a senator or any other position. Then those people, if they feel free to speak, they come and speak, and then we end up voting. Is that not how we did it the last time, or is there any regulations to do it? So I'm not saying that's how it has to be. If there's a unanimous nomination for it, that's how we've done it. That's just precedent. If there's a better way to do it, I don't know. I just know that there's someone here specifically for Mrs. UT Tyler who would be a perfect representation for it, in my opinion. I mean, I think it goes without saying who that is and who has done a very good job. However, that's just my opinion, and I think it's something that SGA should consider. Josh is back there making a face of some kind, so I don't know what his opinion is. However, the good thing about this is that it's something we should consider, and I think it's something that's very important. So that's why I brought it up, and I think that I would be willing to nominate someone, but nominations aren't open yet. I just wanted to bring it up. So. So
Okay, so it's been motion and seconded to close discussion. Ooh, okay. So food for thought. Anything else? Yes. Okay, it was motion and seconded to open nominations for Mrs. UT Tyler. Thank you. I appreciate that. Josh nominated me. Brennan? Okay. Brennan has nominated Chloe Dix. Does anyone else have a nomination? Yeah, we both. Justin? All right, Senator McNamara. Adon? He said Miss UT Tyler specifically, so you'd be welcome to open Mr. after. Brandon? Okay, Senator Towner. Adon? Senator Kit? Are you a junior or senior? Okay, then. All right. Robert?
I nominate Senator Luna.
Senator Luna? All right. Okay. Daniel moved to. Okay, it was moved and seconded to close the floor for nominations. I'd like to entertain a motion to vote on Miss UT Tyler. On Miss. Josh. It was. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I don't. We have a lot of nominations. Is that an appropriate course of action? Yes. Not everyone's on Zoom. Hypothetically, there's nothing stopping it. You can.
So motion to table. Oh,
You're allowed
never
to,
mind.
yes. All right, it was moved to table the discussion until next week and seconded, so we will resume conversation at a later date. Okay. 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 It was motion and seconded to vote next week for Miss UT Tyler, the SGA candidate. Okay. Whew. Is there anything to add to new business?
Yeah, I'm gonna feel really bad about this now. So motion to open up discussion on rules presentation. We talked about this.
Yes. I was thinking maybe Mr. UT Tyler, but
Oh,
it's fine. It's already motioned and seconded, so.
All right, so today I came to give you all a quick presentation on a proposal that the Rules Committee's been working on for the past couple of weeks, and as you can see, it's about the e-board voting status. So right now, the e-board votes as senators do. Our proposal is to take away the ability, sorry, to take away the ability of the executive board to vote as they currently do. There are two main reasons for this change. One is that it would put them more in line with their constitutional responsibilities, which is governance of the organization, administration, and enforcement of policy. Whereas the Senate's responsibilities are more drafting and voting on legislation. So the executive board's responsibilities are not voting and drafting legislation. So we think it makes sense to take the ability away from them to vote on Senate matters away. So this would not remove the e-board's ability to motion to draft and propose content. And it would not remove the e-board's ability to vote amongst themselves or make executive decisions or act in place of the Senate as they do during summer. So at the end of the day, this proposal is not reducing their power. It's just simply making a organizational change to the way we conduct our general assemblies to make them more organized and more in line with the Constitution. So, and as you can see, I've provided a picture of the reminder that'll be in the Constitution that they do not hold the power to vote on legislative matters as the Senate does. And that's in section 4.1. So yeah, any questions about this change?
Is it expressly listed in the Constitution now that they have the power to do this, or would this just be like a point of information within the Constitution?
So yeah, there's nothing in the Constitution that says they have the ability to vote on legislation. There's nothing that gives them the ability to do that. So it's sort of understood that they do not have the ability to do that. So
this is just like a clarifying mark.
Right. It's a reminder for future student governments.
Thank you.
And this is just in response to kind of what you're saying. It is clearly defined that the president cannot vote on Senate matters unless it is in the case of a tie breaking. So I think that's also why it's relevant to list that out in the under 4.1.
So this is just a presentation. We're not voting on anything today. So this will be coming up later on for us to vote on. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to contact Soren or me directly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So for this one, we do have a second presentation. JJ, could you please come down? Thank you so much, Soren. Thank you.
Um, for my proposal for we've been discussing for rules committee is under article 1 section 2. The current GPA is for a senator to have eligibility is at a 2.0 cumulative GPA. My proposal would be to raise that to a 2.5. Reason being to ensure accountability in the classrooms and to show that those elected to represent SGA and UT Tyler are fully capable students to know if they're qualified for the positions, and their GPA is a great judge of their discipline. And as a demanding position, the Senate of the Student Government Association at UT Tyler should be composed of the most qualified students. So any questions, comments, concerns?
I know this goes in line for senators only, but are you guys with this change, would you guys plan on implementing changes for the judicial board and then executive board?
So as far as this is considered, we are considering only the Senate at the moment because it currently sits at 2.0 because it's so low. And so if it comes up that we would need to put in a change for the judicial board and the executive board, we would be looking into that at a later date.
Well, bringing that up, do we actually have a different GPA status for? Oh, okay.
Yeah, currently for justices, they must have a 2.5 cumulative GPA, and then for executive office or the chief justice must have a 2.75.
Would this modification be similar to and reflect that of other institutions that are around our size or part of the UT system? Like, do other institutions have something similar to this, or is there's also like a 2.0? Or do we know?
Yeah. So here, UTEP has a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale, and the same thing goes for UTSA. They also have a 2.5. So I think us and UTA are only the currently ones with a 2.0 cumulative GPA.
Okay, so again, this is just a proposal. We are not voting on anything right now. This is just kind of get to see what y'all think. If there's any concerns, if there's any comments. Again, if any of you want to add anything or want to talk to me or JJ about it, please come talk to us. You can text us, you can email us, you can group me us, you can do whatever to get to us. I'm not too much of a carrier pigeon type of person, but if you want to send one to me, go right ahead. But yeah, feel free to contact us. Yes, Bryce. When are we planning on bringing this to a vote? That is tentative at the moment. On the both of the proposals? Yes, I will pull up the first one. Okay. There we go. Okay, so did we motion that and second that? Correct? Okay. Is it just a general? Yeah.
All right, so it's been motioned and seconded to vote on the first proposal. You can see it on the screen. All in favor, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. Okay. You can put your hands up. All opposed, please raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any abstentions? Okay. That passes. So. Can't be afraid. Trying to pull this one up. I'm just gonna close it. Okay. And Josh. Okay. It's been motion seconded to close voting on the first proposal. Brennan. Okay. Okay, it's motion and seconded to open discussion back up on the second proposal.
On bullet point number 3, saying that their GPA is a great judge of their discipline inside of the classroom. I feel like that's not a fair statement due to the fact multiple students have multiple different lives outside of SGA where there may be outside factors contributing to why their GPA might be so low. Like, are you going to account for that when when that's happening?
So what's really interesting about this is that essentially it would not go into effect until next semester. So if anyone's worried about that, please don't be worried. It'll be after this next semester. But going back to your question, we would be able to put into place essentially what's it called? An appeals process to go to the judicial board and talk and be able to talk through your circumstances and be like, hey, this came up. I understand that my GPA is below this. Help me out here. We're very understanding people here at student government, and it'll actually give the judicial board something else to do as well on top of the things that they do.
My question is, so if it go into effect next semester, would that, like, so say someone's not meeting the current GPA during a, I guess during the vote, would they meet with y'all before they can even run for the senator position? Like, how would that work?
We even now check GPAs during the election process. And so I imagine all election, which would mean if you're running right now, that it would not be a factor.
Real quick,
Yeah, we can address these. That was just sound. Yes, Adam.
I think this is a very modest proposal. Academic probation is whenever you're under a 2.0 here at this university. I think we should be asking more of the people who are representing the students of the university to be just above academic probation. moving it to 2.5 is not a modest thing to ask. That is just asking you to do very bare minimum in your classes. BC average. That is more than attainable for us. I know we're people of high quality and high standards just by looking around the room. This shouldn't be anything of concern for us.
Food for thought. Food for thought. Does limiting it that much more make our body less representative? The question is how many people have been removed or limited based on GPA requirements? Ashlyn asked if we know how many people have been removed from student government based on GPA. So 4, but we have looked at projections for how many would not meet the heightened requirement, and it is significant. Do you remember when approximately that projection was done? So about 3 years ago, when we looked at this, a similar projection, it would cut a significant portion of the Senate. No.
I'm gonna go ahead. So since there is concerns for it, is there a way that the GPAs can get pulled to see where we generally are at right now? Like how many people we'd lose if we were to do it right now, even though, you know, it's gonna be for the fall.
Yes, we can currently actually go ask Josh Neves to do a GPA check on the entire SGA Senate, and we can get a climate of where how many we would lose, how many would be able to stay. Yes, sir.
All right. So I just got to say, I do agree with what Luis was saying. That I do think that GPA is very indicative of character, because I feel like even though you have a 2.0, you could still make for a great senator. Even if you got a really high GPA, you could probably be the biggest moron out there. So I'm just saying it flat out. If you probably raise it, you probably might be missing out on some good quality people who could represent the people.
Right, and that's why we would have the appeals process to be able to really, if you do fall below that 2.5, and you do still do have that great character that really all of us do have here in SGA, that we would be able to keep you in SGA for the time being, just possibly on some sort of probation, to really be able to keep you accountable with your grades or to push you to want to have better grades than you have. Yes, sir. Your shoes.
Thanks, man. I'm in the same thought process as Adon. Like it isn't asking that much, in my opinion, to raise it 0.5 points. I know for our organization, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 2.8 to be an officer in
Correct.
ATO.
Well, even to be a member in ATO.
Oh, well, look, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's that hard. And SGA, you are asking, like, these are the cream of the crop that are supposed to be. So, I mean, I don't think asking for a 2.5 is that big of an ask, but that's all I have to say. Oh,
One more thing. I do got to say though, raising this also could also be very limitative to those who have learning disabilities. Did you take into account of those? Because people with learning disabilities could be heavily affected in the GPA department. Luis, you can go.
Thank you. So prior to applying to UT Tyler, I tried going for the mechanical engineering department at U of H. My GPA at that time was 3.2, and they had just raised the GPA requirement from 3.0 to a 3.25. So I fell short below, I fell short of that 3.25 by 0.05. Ultimately, I'm glad I came to UT Tyler. It's afforded me quite a lot of options, but raising even by 0.25 the GPA requirement, you really lose out on some quality people. And if we're going to raise it by 0.5, we're going to lose out on a lot more. And yeah, you're right. We can go through the appeals process, but then at that point, you're adding additional hoops and hurdles for people to jump through for something that they want to do. It would be like, for example, let's say you have a 3.0 and you want to work at Boeing, but Boeing says, you know what? No, now you need to have a 3.5. But if you want to get in, you're now going to have to go through a lot more. How would that be fair to the incoming employees for Boeing? You know, I mean, would you consider that being, unfair practices for hiring?
So I completely understand where you're coming from, and really, it's being able to get the cream of the crop, but also to be able to get proper representation here at UT Tyler. And so, with the appeals process, going through the judicial board, it will be a pretty simple process, as far as I know. And so, as we go forward, yes, I understand that there's multiple hoops to go through. Originally, we were planning on this just being a proposal to get the feel of it all, but it ended up going down this path. I really like all the feedback that we're getting, even if we don't vote on it, even if it gets struck down in a vote. It is really great feedback to hear back from, hey, you, Luis, to be able to get these things from you, Justin, and really from everyone else, to really be able to get this feedback. And I honestly, I thank y'all for that. I know I didn't exactly answer that question. There isn't exactly a one.
There is no safe answer to that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And
so,
I just want to thank you for standing up there for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going through rules committee right now, and really thank you for asking that question. Honestly.
Okay. So just a really quick point onto Justin looking at the learning disabilities. I'm not going to hide it. I have a learning disability. That's pretty open. I work with the SAR office here on campus, and that provides you with the additional resources to you to be able to be competitive in an academic setting. So I would say that if a student is struggling with their classes, they need to go and speak with the resources that are available to them. And if they do that, then they will, in general, have a much greater opportunity to be able to be competitive and to be able to succeed in their academic setting. So that would be my counter to saying if somebody has a learning disability, they're going to receive low grades. I've experienced that. That's not what happens. The SAR office is open to anything that is recognized by the ADA.
More on that, I also have a learning disability. I have ADHD. I've been medicated for it since I was in 8th grade. I'm on a very high dosage. I have a very strong case of ADHD. I've never struggled with my grades. I've never struggled with keeping them up. I have a 4.0 right now. I'm taking 18 hours. Also, I'm the director of scholarship for Delta Gamma, and our minimum GPA requirement is a 2.5, even higher to hold a leadership position. So I don't think that asking for 2.5 is really that high.
Ollie?
So I think it should be raised to 2.5, but I do think there's like a lot of factors that go into it. Like some majors are way more demanding than others. It also depends if you have like a part-time job, because obviously you can't work as much as someone else or study as much. So I think that considering all the factors, I don't think it should go above a 2.5, but that's just my opinion.
So with that, a lot of us, we're all really great friends with each other, and to be able to help each other, to reach out to each other whenever each of us are having issues with our grades, whenever we're having issues whenever we're struggling at home, to be able to reach out to each other. We're one great big, basically family here in SGA, and to be able to reach out to each other and to be able to help pull each other up to be the greatest who we can be is really paramount to not only this organization, but to each of us individually as well.
I think that this needs more thought, to say the least. So I would like to suggest that you all email Robert with your feedback and entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic. Okay, it was motion and seconded.
You can now email me at my uttyler.edu email now. So go right ahead and do that. I want to see how it goes. rbennett@uttyler.edu. Yes.
Yeah. While he's doing that, is there anything to add to new business? Adon?
I entertain a motion to open discussion on nominations for Mr. UT Tyler. I motioned, my bad. My mistake.
Okay, so the floor is now open for Mr. UT Tyler nominations. Brennan. Senator Scott, all right. Shelby. Senator Gavea. Bryce. Senator Manhennet. Brennan. Vice President Smith. Any other nominations? Senator Kleckler. Brennan. Senator Vargas. Goodness. Luis, do you have a nomination as well?
Not at the moment.
Okay, all right. Any other nominations?
Seconded.
All right, it was moved and seconded to close the floor for nominations. Any other discussion on this topic? Okay.
Seconded.
It was moved and seconded to vote on Mr. UT Tyler next week as well, so we will post that next week. Anything else to add to new business? All right. Seeing none. Okay. Advisor comments. You know you have to come up.
All right. So a lot of good discussion. I will comment on the proposals. I don't have a problem with the first proposal. I think that there's no wrong, and I think that's a good thing, because then I think that if the executive board has an issue with the Senate's decision, then that might be an opportunity for the judicial board to step in and hear an appeal from the executive board. And so I think that could be a good way to start creating that type of structure with student government and can get the judicial board more active.
Not discuss when that would go into effect.
Correct. So that's something you voted on and passed it. So we got to start the amendment process now. So if everything goes according to plan, it could go into effect as early as fall semester. Typically, we don't. Anytime there's constitutional changes, you don't have them take effect immediately. You usually wait until the start of the semester for they to take effect. On the second proposal, I'll be honest, I am not in favor of raising the GPA. I think Luis's, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I think his comments were spot on. And so when we looked at this last time several years ago, the data at the time is half the Senate would have automatically been eliminated because of that smaller increase. And so there's a lot of various circumstances. You might have a student that had a rough first semester, and they're constantly so some of the best leaders I've worked with had come out of academic probation and were, bouncing back. Do I agree with some of the things that y'all said? Absolutely. I think for I forgot your name. I'm sorry. The one that's in Delta Gamma, Audrey. Like I often hear stories of students who have a 4.0. They're involved in a student group, in a sorority, have an on-campus job, student athlete. I hear a lot of those, and that teaches our students time management skills and developing a strong work ethic. That's good, but sometimes not every student is able to do that. There's a lot of different factors, and so I want to make the pathway to represent as easy as possible to make sure that we have a diverse representation of student body. And so y'all are responsible for representing all the students here at UT Tyler. And so if we eliminate the ability for a student who's in good academic standing with the institution, but not able to participate in this organization, that concerns me. Yes, they can go through an appeals process is what I'm hearing, but that's a lot of work. It's already hard enough to get students to fill these seats. Why are we going to make it harder? So I will be transparent in the fact that in your amendment process, in order for your amendments to pass, they also have to get my blessing. At this time, I would not pass that. And so there's going to have to be some serious convincing for me before I can accept that. So I'm happy to look at the data after homecoming to see how it would negatively impact this current Senate. And by then we'll see the potential income in Senate. We can start looking at some of that pieces, but we should be looking at how do we get these seats filled before we start making it, before we start elevating. Now, if every seat was contested and every seat was filled and we wanted to raise the standards, I might be open to the idea then, but right now we got to fill the seats before we start making it harder to fill it. So that's my 2 cents. I kept quiet. It was very hard for me to keep quiet, but it's good for y'all to debate. It's sometimes when there's things that are tough conversations, it's good to have a healthy debate and to listen to each other's side because y'all might pick up on things you didn't think about. And so I think it was still a good conversation, and I think that's equally important. So other than that, another shameless plug: homecoming's next week.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Announcements. I feel like there's a somber attitude in the room. I'll get to you. So I'd like to spice it up with a healthy Senator of the Week drum roll. Daniel Kleckler. Woo! He was submitted by a peer for your involvement in the organization. We appreciate you. So, way to go, Daniel. All right. And then the other announcement I have is about election signups. That is open and through next week to put your name on the ballot. I did go ahead and make a QR code for those of you that may have had trouble finding the form. Just as a reminder, I got this question earlier. If you're a senator now, you do still have to run for the fall if you're wanting to continue. So if you're interested, I have a QR code where you can access the engage form to put your name on the ballot. Has everybody gotten it that needs it? Awesome. All right. And then any other announcements? Yep. In case you guys didn't know, homecoming is next week.
Super quick announcement. I serve as one of the student representatives on the Career Success Conference Advisory Committee for the university. We did decide on a date. It will be October 20th. That's a Thursday. That will be of 2022 next semester. So that I know it's super early. Keep your ear out for that. You're going to start getting some updates on that. But we did finally decide on a date.
Anything else? Anything going on this week, Adon? When is that? Thursday, 5:30 to 7 in the UC Theater and Kanto Movie Night. Yes. Anything else?
I motion to adjourn.
Motion and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, raise your hand or do a heart emoji. And any abstentions? All right. Have a great week.